It's mostly the case that when you build a race-ready motorcycle, you reserve the use of that bike for the racetrack, and you don't necessarily go and take it on the road again. But when we converted this Ninja 400 into a race-ready motorcycle that would run in 400 production class and meet scrutineering requirements, I always had in mind that I wanted to be able to very quickly turn it into something that was roadworthy and go and run it on the road again. So what I want to do in this video is explain to you how we actually set that up. So this bike in its current configuration would meet the scrutineering requirements for 400 production class racing, and that's something that we do down there at Manton Park in Townsville. Now that track is around about 4.5 hours drive to get there, and it's the nearest track of any decent size that you could go and ride this motorcycle. Yeah, there's a couple of go-kart tracks around the place, but if I wanted to go and ride this bike and test it, then what I would need to do is, if I'm not going to go to a go-kart track, convert it back into a roadworthy motorcycle. And that was something I kept in mind, and we set it up so that we could actually do that. Now, it takes for us about 20 minutes to convert it from a roadworthy bike back into a track bike. And it would be about the same time to flip it again and go back to a roadworthy motorcycle. Now, a couple of things that we did. Okay, first of all, we drilled a hole in the fairing, right? So it's just got a hole in the fairing on the black paint part that makes it very hard to actually see that there's a hole there. And that hole on both sides is simply where we plug in the indicators. So we just push these straight through the hole, right? One nut just holds them in place, and we actually have the connections here so that the indicators just plug straight into the wiring loom on the front of the motorcycle. So we got a couple of those. Now, the other thing that we did at the front, because we had to have headlights and they needed to be high and low beam. So we made up this pretty cool little device, and all it is a piece of flat aluminium, and that just bolts, or is held by 4 bolts with nuts underneath the top part of the fairing. So it just slots straight underneath, and because it's nice and flat like this, it clears the mudguard so you can ride the bike normally. And it's got these very cool, very small little LED projector lights which have a high and low beam. And all we simply did was we wired them in, right, set up a 6-pin plug, and that 6-pin plug plugs straight into a little bit of a wiring harness that we've already plugged into the loom, and it takes 2 seconds to set that up. So just a matter of plugging it in, right, put a zip tie in place to hold the cables off the mudguard, and then tighten up 4 little nuts. And it's very cool, right? Very effective lighting, and just a quick way to get the lighting back on the front. Now, on the back, we've got to have lighting on the back, obviously, and it's kind of a convoluted system that they had on the bike initially. So what we ended up doing was we got this little device here that mounted everything on it and kind of moved the number plate and lights all up. And I bought an additional part here, and that additional part is basically a little plastic plate, or actually it's an alloy plate that just screws or attaches directly to the number plate. It's actually made for that specifically. I think we got this through AliExpress, and it's got a brake tail light on it. So the brake and tail light is located underneath the number plate, and that little unit has all of the components we need for the lighting on the rear of the bike. It's got the indicators, it's got the number plate light, it's got the tail light, and it's got the brake light built into it. And all we simply do is we just slot it straight underneath the tail of the motorcycle. It's got 4 holes which slide over 4 bolts, and then we just tighten up the nuts and we plug in a 9-point connector here. So 9 wires to run that set of lights, and then everything's preset. It's just a matter of just screw it on, plug it in, and off she goes. So really cool system, right? Nice and quick to be able to attach and detach. The other thing is we needed to, put a race muffler on the bike, and in order to ride it on the road, we needed a muffler that's not going to be as loud. So we've got one here from SC Project with a baffle in it, and this is more suitable, even though it can be converted into a race muffler. It's much more suitable for the road, a little bit longer than the one that we're running in the race configuration, but that takes around about, I don't know, 1.5 minutes or something to replace. You just simply undo the clamp, undo one 13mm nut on a bolt, remove the muffler, slide the other one on, and if you keep everything clean, right? It goes on and off really, really easily. So SC Project, that's the product that we're actually using. The only other thing you've got to do is, in our case, we need a side stand. I actually tried riding it with the belly pan on, but you can't put the side stand on when you've got a racing belly pan. So I would just pull up at the cafe and then I'd lean it against a pot plant. But that became a bit of a pain in the butt. So all we do now is we remove the belly pan, we put the side stand back on, and it only takes a couple of minutes to remove the side stand and put the belly pan back on. So really, really simple. So that's it. I hope that gives you a bit of a clue. For us, for me personally, it's been a real convenience to be able to convert this bike back into a road bike and take it for a ride and a blast up the range. See you in another video. Bye.